Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show. And welcome back to part 2 of our top 10 films of all time. Let's jump right back in with number 5.
All right, so number 5, Shawshank Redemption.
They send you here for life. That's exactly what they take.
I'm Mr. Norton, the warden. I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both.
Why'd you do it?
I didn't, since you asked.
You gonna fit right in. Everybody in here is innocent. Hey, what you in here for?
Didn't do it.
He had a quiet way about him, a walk and a talk that just wasn't normal around here.
Ooh, great film.
Yeah, it's again basing it off of movies that I just can't turn off when I come across it. I love everything about Shawshank, and to think that it started as a short story by Stephen King, it's without a doubt, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever made. Again, it's just hard to put like a bad point in this movie. I would easily rank this if we were doing our standard podcast if in the top 9s easily. Red, excellent character. I loved everything about Andy Dufresne. It just, if you think about what the guy's going through, he actually didn't do it. He's framed, but he just sucks it up and makes use of his time. And one of the greatest simple prison escapes of all time. It's a fantastic film.
How did he get the poster taped back up onto the wall? No, I'm not going to be that guy.
One.
It's an amazing movie. It is one of the most inspirational movies ever made. After you watch that film, you just feel like you've been through such an emotional roller coaster. Good choice.
Yeah. I what's funny about that film? People had told me for a long time, oh, this is a great movie. You need to see it. And I resisted it for so long because it felt to me like I was like, oh, this is gonna be a real heavy movie. I don't. But then the first time I see it, I was like, oh man, I should not have waited so long. It was just a phenomenal film.
Agreed. I mean, everything from the comedy that's in there. I mean, there's so many jokes like, oh, why do they call you Red? Well, because of Irish. Coming from a black dude, I mean, that's fucking hysterical. Not Anne Hathaway. What does he say? He requests the poster. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to say, I don't have her in my pants at the moment."
Rita Hayworth.
Rita Hayworth. Yes, thank you. There's so many good parts of it, and then there's some dark parts of it, like Andy Dufresne, the whole rape thing with the sisters. You're like,
ooh,
and he fights him off and all that. But then the last thing he does, like before that happens, where he's just like, oh, what happens if I stab you? You put anything about butt like that, lock jaw, like, oh, I mean, it's dark what you think that character has gone through.
Yeah.
But then one of my favorite scenes from the movie is the rooftop scene when they're tarring the roof. Oh, wouldn't you know? A bunch of my friends got chosen, and they're up there and tarring the roof. And he overhears the guard talking about, like his taxes, and his brother died, and he inherits this money, and he turns around, he's about to get thrown off the roof, and he's like, all I ask is, for, a bottle of suds for each one of my friends, a couple beers while they're up there working in the heat. It's such a cool scene, just because, I mean, you've got the biggest, he calls him, I can't remember the quote, he's like the hardest shrew to ever walk the whatever of Shawshank, something along those lines. The guard's a big asshole, and he's up there drinking with him at the end of it, having it like just enjoying the sunshine and all that. Like, we're all dudes, like it's such a dude thing.
Yeah.
Then I mean, just that moment where he's just like, I don't even drink, I did it for you guys. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's such it's a powerful movie, and I love the way it's shot, the story. The arc of the stories, because at some point you are sitting there thinking like, all right, Andy Dufresne did get fucking wasted and offed his wife and the shitbag tennis instructor that was banging her, and mid movie you're like, fuck, maybe he didn't do it, and you're like, oh shit, he didn't do
Mhm.
it, and I don't know, it's phenomenal filmmaking as far as I'm concerned.
This director does not have a very long filmography, and I even had to look him up to see what else he's done. And the only other movie I recognize, and you won't be surprised when I tell you what it is The Green Mile. So it seems like he
Okay.
just does one kind of movie
Yeah.
twice. The rest of his filmography is pretty obscure, and it's light. But what he has done of note is some heavy hitters.
I'm tired, boss. I can't believe we got 4 more of these to do. All right, so my number 4, I have Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Say Ferris?
I hate him. Life moves pretty fast.
You're crazy!
If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
I can't remember how old I was, but I remember like being at my father's house and like staying up late, catching this on like, I don't even know, TNT, TBS, something like that. And it just grabbed me immediately. I had to be, I don't even know, like 10, maybe 11 years old, somewhere around there. And I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. Like, I gotta use some of these techniques. Like, I could do this and get out of school. And that's what drew me in. And then, I mean, the whole story. The only thing I didn't like about it as a kid, I'm like, it's not his voice when he was singing on the float. Tonka Shane.
Yeah, so I mean, it just kind of like drew me in as a kid, like watching somebody that's slightly older than me, like getting out of school and like doing all these things. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I could totally do something like that. Not that I can rig up a Rube Goldman machine for when my parents were to open up the door and like I roll over and start snoring or anything, but I'm like, this guy's a genius. But just ever since then, like I always thought of that movie as like, man, that's like a whole other level of cool that I wasn't at that age. And I mean, it's just an amazing movie. Everything from that point on. I mean, now I think I probably relate more to Cameron, just like waking up like, I'm dying. But I'm also 40 now, and I'm not 16.
This movie is about heart more so than it is about like a real laugh out loud, hilarious joke. Like this isn't one of those movies where you're gonna laugh until your sides hurt, but you feel something when you watch it. This movie is all about attitude.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you know, I'm so glad somebody had what's the director's name? Why am I
John Hughes?
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad somebody had a John Hughes movie in this because I mean, and there's so many really good ones of his to pick from. But yeah, I think this one in many ways is probably his best. You know, it's probably not the one I watch the most because I think that would be Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. But I think if I'm honest, I think this one is superb. Like everything is just written perfectly in this.
Yeah, it's a classic, just a piece of Americana.
All right, so for my number 3, I had Goodfellas, but I had a backup. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Hello, sugar. How's my little girl?
He ain't our daddy.
I am the only daddy you got. I am the damn paterfamilias.
Now Mama's got a new beau.
Vernon here's got a job. Vernon's got prospects. He's bona fide. What are you?
You can't marry him.
I can, I am, and I will.
This gentleman bothering you?
Well, you can't marry my wife.
And stay out of the Woolworth.
All right, another Coen Brothers movie.
Nice. Okay. And that's a little off the beaten path of the Coen Brothers. That's an interesting pick.
It's one of those movies that like it could have easily made our most quotable list as well.
Yes.
But it's just I don't even know why I like it as much as I do. It just has this Kyle, tell me why I like this movie as much as I do.
Because
it has a little bit of everything.
It's a classical tale. It is the Odyssey.
It is the Odyssey
set in the 1930s Dust Bowl. That's why it's universal. That's why anybody can relate to this movie.
I mean, and there's so many good lines to it too. I mean, each individual story.
Damn, we're in
I mean,
a
you
tight
have.
spot.
Damn, we're in a tight spot. I mean, you have the Cyclops, the
Mhm.
Bible salesman. I mean, like literally, it's a retelling of the Odyssey
Mhm.
in one of the most unique ways that you can do it. I mean, it's just it's not bonkers, but it just works so well. One of my favorite storylines in it, aside from the Soggy Bottom Boys, is well, actually, no, that is part of the Soggy Bottom Boys, is the guitarist that sells his soul to the devil in the crossroads and can play the guitar.
Who is based on a real person whose name is Robert Johnson. And, I went down to the crossroads. That's Robert Johnson. That's where that story comes from.
And just how everything ties together with that weird prophecy from the blind man on the railroad about the cow on the roof and everything. And when it all ties together, you're like, this is just awesome.
How about that soundtrack too? That's a
Oh my God.
awesome soundtrack.
I like heavy metal, rock music, hardcore. I like old school rap, Wu-Tang, stuff like that. But I can throw down with some of this bluegrass, like a soundtrack. Like, what is it? What's the scene? The Sirens.
Yes.
Sirens on the Rocks, where where he like loses. He's like, I'm going down there, and runs off like that down to the water. I can't sing, so I'm not even gonna try. But that's an awesome sound. That's a great song. What's another good one? Aside from the Soggy Bottom Boys hit.
You got he's in the jailhouse now towards the end of it. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. You Are My Sunshine, but done
I'll
in
Fly
such
Away.
Yep, there you go.
This is another one. I definitely have to give this another watch. I saw it when it first came out, and I liked it, but I didn't make the connection that it was the Odyssey. I didn't know. I heard that later, so it didn't really resonate the way it should have. And I remember watching it, and there was some like all of a sudden like the scene with the sirens when he goes goes down to the lake where the little girls are and everything. And I'm saying this I know this means something, but I don't know if I'm putting it together the way I'm supposed to. So I think I definitely need to watch this again, knowing what I know.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I like that movie a lot.
Absolutely.
Are you a Dapper Dan man?
I actually am a Dapper Dan man. I have a can of Dapper Dan in my phone case.
You might need, if you're out,
little hairnet
for a while, you might need FOP. You might have to
this
sell
place
for
is
FOP.
This place is a geological oddity. 10 days from everywhere. All right, so that was number 3. So number 2. I'm curious if you guys have something like this. This is where we're starting to hit the top 2, and these 2 movies are actually closer probably than you really would think because you guys know me so well. But my number 2, Aliens.
Just tell me one thing, Burke. You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
There's movement all over the place. 5 meters, man. 4.
Aliens. This time, it's war.
Solid choice.
Nice.
Alien. If I were to do any top 10 of all time type list, Aliens is going to be goddamn close to my number 1, but it always falls short of my number 1, which I'm sure you guys can guess what that one is at this point. But yes, I absolutely love Aliens. I think that is the perfect action movie, the perfect sci-fi movie, the perfect horror movie. It just encapsulates so many different genres into one. It's probably the 9.999 before what I consider my top 10 movie. What do you guys think about Aliens?
And quotable too.
And quotable.
Get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah, honestly, that is a phenomenal film, and I think that we need to. I feel like we keep talking about directors, and we keep finding the one where I feel like they really peaked, and I feel like Cameron around this time is between like Terminator 2 and Aliens. I think he really peaks here, and I mean he does fine work after this, but honestly, I will take Aliens over like Avatar.
Oh God,
any day
yes.
of the week, and
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's not
Yeah.
even a question.
Yeah, I think this is vintage perfection from Cameron. I totally agree.
Yeah,
And for all those naysayers that complain about, like, nowadays, I'm talking about like, oh, we need like female heroes. There's never been a what bitch is tougher than Ripley? Ripley is like the peak female hero of any movie that I've seen, even up to now with like the Marvel movies and all that shit. No, this bitch will fuck you up. Sigourney Weaver nails the part, and Ripley is one of the hard ass females to ever be in cinema, hands down. I don't care what anybody else will say.
it's so true, and the events of the first movie would not have unfolded so tragically had they just listened to Ripley from the outset. It's like, no, listen to the smart woman. Because you didn't, bad things happen and everybody dies except for the smart woman. And then in the second one, she becomes the badass woman.
And for good reason. I love the whole story arc too of, this goes into like the deleted scenes because she's been in cryo sleep for so long. Her daughter's like old, and I think I'm pretty sure she died at that point. Like, do you remember that scene? Like, it's in the deleted scenes where she looks back at like her little, the video
yes.
thing. And it shows her daughter who's like old and gray, and I'm pretty sure she's deceased by that point. But she still has that like mother instinct in her. So when she like meets Newt and starts defending her, and from the big mother alien and all that, like that's all that's kicking in is like that mother instinct. It's a fantastic, and all the sexuality of the Geiger paintings that they brought in to be the actual aliens in the background and all that. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you guys probably know this, but the whole thing with the face huggers is like a kind of a rape metaphor, just latching on, impregnating, and bursting out of your belly. That whole aspect of the film, like, and being brought to number 2, where you have it where now you have Sigourney Weaver being this badass female mother figure destroying that. I mean, Steve, on like a metaphorical level, that's just fucking badass.
Honestly, totally agree. You're selling. If I didn't already love this movie, you're selling it pretty well. Nicely done.
It's a great flick. I mean, the first one is sci-fi horror. Now we're in sci-fi action. So like the genre gets shaken up a little bit, and this is like a popcorn munching thrill ride. I like this movie too.
And on a side note,
Ray is deciding whether or not if you're picking on aliens by saying that, or
no, not at all. But I will say, don't show this to your 6-year-old son, because he might try to recreate the bishop knife hand thing on his own.
Yes,
with a fork, and we caught him doing that like yesterday, literally doing that, sitting at the table like, stop! Luckily, it was a fork and not a knife, but still.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's good. Best left to the androids.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Nicely done, Ray. I love it. Kyle, you're up. Give me your number.
All right,
5.
so I guess it's my turn. My number 5, and this is this is my art house choice. It is Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire has received unanimous critical acclaim. Majestic, masterful, triumphant, and joyful, says the Los Angeles Times. The New York Times calls it rousing and invigorating.
I find this movie to be the most inspirational film that I've ever seen. It's one of those that it really hits you right in the heart, and when you need something to lift you up, Chariots of Fire is that movie. This is the story about athleticism, but it's more than that. It's about excellence, and it's about principles. It's about patriotism. I find this one to just be that type of movie. It plays around a little bit with historical events, takes some dramatic liberties. It's not exactly the way the 1921 Olympics, or I think it was 21, took place, but it's done in service of creative license, and it serves the story really well. This is just a great rainy day, pop it in and be moved type of film.
I'm gonna fess up. I feel like that's one of those movies I know of so well that I've never actually sat down and watched it, but now I'm going to have to. That's a pretty good sell. I feel like that's one of those, I should have seen that a long time ago, but I never got around to it. But I will.
I
know
it's a little.
It's in your top 5. I've never seen it, and I feel really bad.
It's a little controversial because it won Best Picture, beating a movie that is actually higher on my list. And usually when people talk about this film, they're like, how the hell could Chariots of Fire beat this other movie that I'm going to talk about in just a minute?
Was that 84?
It was 81. Okay. So we'll get there. But there's a reason, and it's, I think, just because of the story that is told here is a lot more Oscar friendly than the film that it defeated. Not to say that one is better than the other, like we were saying before. It's like comparing apples and oranges. But this one is just, this is your Oscar art house type of movie, and it really is emotional, and it is moving. It's an inspirational film. And maybe it's because I ran track in high school, but I was never nearly as good as as these guys in this movie.
Nice. I love it.
Nice.
Number 4, Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers.
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm one of the pieces? He's inside? Who is he? Who are you then? You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, wrong guess, huh? Would you like to go for double jeopardy?
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
It has to be on the list, and I'm surprised that it hasn't come up yet in conversation. But it's Die Hard. I mean, and Die Hard is so good. It's the action movie to end all action movies because the script is so good. There is not an ounce of fat on that movie. Everything that is set up and every plot line that is introduced has a resolution. There's always some satisfaction. There's nothing left to chance. Even characters like side characters like Ellis are given an arc and are given that redemptive moment. There's nothing on this movie that's there as filler. Everything serves a purpose, and it's just, I mean, it is the ultimate popcorn eating thrill ride. I mean, this is like getting on your favorite roller coaster and putting your hands up in the air. It's so much fun. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I'm sure you're fans.
It's the perfect action film. I mean, honestly, I think it redefined the genre, and I totally agree with everything you're saying, that everything about it works. It's perfectly written. There's not a moment that there's not an ounce of fat that I would trim from it. I mean, it's just perfect. Yeah, I agree.
And usually we don't think of action movies as being like really great screenplays or being really good acting showcases. Yep. This movie is both of those. I mean, the performances from the leads are second to none, and the script is just so tight. It's perfect.
It really is. And before you jumped on, when me and Joe were just BSing behind the scenes, I was saying how I was having like a really hard time like doing a top 10 list. So I asked like an AI thing to like, what are the top 10, categories for movies? And of course they had, sci-fi, horror, action, comedy, adventure. And I was like, all right, maybe that's how I'm going to do my list. So I wrote all 10 categories down, and when I got to action, I was sitting there, I'm like, action, what's the best action movie? And there's so many to choose from, but the first one, I'm like, John McClane, obviously. It's got to be Die Hard. So excellent choice. What did you think about like the sequels? Did you have, is Die Hard 1 better than 2 and 3? And
yes,
forget the other
yes.
Forget the other ones. Let's just
I would say, you know, there's always that debate: what's better, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon? Die Hard is a better movie. Like it's the best film of them all. Lethal Weapon is a better series because a lot of the Die Hard sequels kind of lose their way. I think the Lethal Weapon franchise, they stay fairly consistent. I like 2. I like 3. Those other 2 are best left. They're like side stories. They're
kind of like the Beverly Hills Cops.
I mean, they're not quite that bad, but they take place like on an alternate plane from the first 3.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, 1 is just perfect, and you can never recapture lightning that way. I think 2 is a solid follow-up. 3, it's doing its own thing, kind of, and it's okay, but I was never a big fan. I thought 4 was pretty good, but 5 is I think we said this last week.
Yeah.
I think, or we talked about, I said Die Hard 5 is the Beverly Hills Cop 3 of this franchise.
Yeah, it's not good.
I think I go 1, 3, 2 if we're talking about Die Hard.
I would probably go with you, Ray. I do like 3 because it has a Gruber as the villain, and they don't. The second one is basically the same formula as the first one. The third one takes a little bit more risk, or maybe risk isn't the right word, but a little bit. They branch outside of their comfort zone. It's not Christmas. It's not set within like one confined place. So it's a little bit different. They play around a little bit, but
so you agree that Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
Oh, 100%.
My man.
Totally
2 and 3 are good, but they're nowhere near as good as the first one. It's the ultimate action film, except for my number 3, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Let her go.
We have no time. If you still want the Ark, it has been loaded onto a truck for Cairo.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. A film from Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
Which is the film that Chariots of Fire beat at the 81 Oscars. But yeah, I mean, what can I say about Raiders that hasn't been said a million times? I mean, this is America. Like, this is just the perfect movie when it comes to music, direction, performance, editing, screenplay. All of it is just 10 out of 10, note perfect. How can I say something that hasn't been said about this movie? I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm sure you're fans as well.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said, and I think this is a film that it's almost trying to disguise itself as a fun little action serial film, but it is underneath a film with a capital F, as you would say. I completely agree. This is a phenomenal film, and again, speaking of directors who I think are at their peaks, I think this is probably Spielberg's finest work, and I don't think he's ever done anything. I mean, he's done tons of masterful work, but I think this is the one. I think this is honestly the one.
Ray?
Ray? Why? God damn. You guys always call me out when I'm like thinking. No, I mean, we've talked about some Indiana Jones films before.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the original trilogy is excellent. But for me, I think, I don't know if I would go Raiders or if I would be, I don't know. That's a tough
Dial
call.
of Destiny? Is that where you're going back and
Yes. Yeah. I mean, when you talk about Buff, whatever the fuck his name is.
What?
Fifth. Jesus. I just had my kids watching the.
You're on Back to the Future, which is another 10 out of 10 movie.
I was
It is.
Batman fist fights.
I literally, my kids have literally just been watching the trilogy, Back to the Future.
That's a 10.
Tonight they watched number 3. But yeah, punch a Nazi in the face. I mean, as long as you're doing it appropriately, I'm all for, those movies. But going number 1 and number 3.
Yeah, it's tough because I do love the third one. The third one has a much lighter tone. I feel like there's a lot more humor in the third, and that's not a bad thing. This is just a damn good, solid adventure. I think that's why I gravitate more towards this one. But the third one is right up there. That's like my Easter movie of choice. And then my number 2, and this is when I class it up a little bit and go old school, is The Third Man.
You're wrong about Harry. You're wrong about everything.
Come out, whoever you are.
Everybody talks about Citizen Kane as being the greatest film ever made, and I love Citizen Kane. I really do. I think it is a masterpiece. But The Third Man is just as good. And I know Wells didn't direct it, but a lot of his DNA is there. A lot of the techniques that he used in Citizen Kane are used in The Third Man. World War II brought so much chaos to Europe, and the rehabilitation of Europe left a lot of room for an illicit black market to flourish. I mean, there was a lot of crime that slipped through the cracks, and a lot of crazy shady stuff went on in that era, and this movie captures that. It's like the original Cold War spy film. This is it, and it has a lot of those film noir, German expressionist camera techniques that I really love. That would later be used in a lot of American films. This is just one that I think it's the masterpiece of film noir. I think it's one of the best spy movies ever made, and I think it is hands down easily the best Orson Welles performance of all time.
You're making me feel really ignorant about movies. I thought The Third Man was like a baseball movie or basketball or something.
You're thinking of
like,
Eight Men Out.
Oh, there you go. Probably. Was it like a Damon Brothers movie? Like, what the fuck? God damn, I haven't seen that one either. Shit.
Yeah,
You're schooling me right now.
I would definitely, I'd recommend this one to you. And watch. There are 2 versions of this. There's an American version and the original British version. The British version is superior. They're not that much different, but there's a framing technique in it that makes the British version a little bit better. But it's a solid flick, and it really will take you back to that very specific period of history, just as the Allies are mopping up the debris from World War II, the things that they weren't able to catch in that net.
Okay. I dig it.
I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this one again. All right, good job, man. All right, so my number 5. This is one, again, I saw this at the right time in my life. It's a really great story, and I think when you're a goofy high school age, college age kid, and you see this movie for the first time, it kind of gets you in the feels. Dead Poets Society.
What was the Dead Poets Society?
The dead poets were dedicated to sucking the marrow out of life. Spirits soared, women swooned, and gods were created. Not a bad way to spend an evening, eh?
I hereby reconvene the Dead Poets Society.
Ooh, yeah. Good movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Moving. Very moving.
Yes, kind of. It gets you right in the feels. It's a wonderful kind of life lesson to me. You know, I mean, first off, I love that it's one of those movies that the setting is perfect. It's set in like the 50s, early 60s. Really has that great vibe to it. And yeah, it just kind of gets you on a gut level. Like I said, when you find this one when you're in college, it's a really great film, and this is one that I like showing to people, younger kids who haven't seen it.
There's
I
a
don't even
lot.
think I was in college when I first saw it, but I mean, probably 16, 17, something like that. But yeah, like that one just had like an emotional impact. It's, I like the whole, like, I can't get along with girls vibe, so I'm going to form my own little bro group type thing.
Mhm.
Everything that Robin Williams distills in that as the professor and all, and just brings everybody out of their shell. And then eventually, like when everything's gonna get disbanded, oh Captain, like god damn, like everything about that scene, or everything about that film.
I
Yeah.
remember, I remember reading Catcher in the Rye when I was young, and not knowing if I ever quite got it. I kind of felt like I can't tell if I'm missing the genius or if this is just a real overrated book. And I remember when I saw this, feeling like this to me is like the Catcher in the Rye story, but done right.
Yeah.
Where it's telling the story that I kind of wanted it to tell, if that makes sense. I thought this was really, really well done. I mean, the whole thing is about like it takes place in like the 50s, 60s. Teenagers who are kind of angsty and just kind of not quite sure what they want out of life. And I felt like this one kind of, it's a wonderful way to kind of carry you forward and say, here's kind of how you should live. And it's like, ooh, okay, I'm getting it. You know what I mean? It really does a lot. Yeah. And like, to your point, Ray, it is a cautionary tale, but yeah. It's just really, I mean, again, when I saw this a bunch of times in the theaters when I was young, and I, again, kind of got that gut punch every time. I think I got kind of little misty every single time.
It kind of showed a different side of Robin Williams, something that he wasn't like. He's not Mork in this movie. He's an actor in this movie. Like he really turns in an all-timer of a performance here.
Yeah. Well, this was actually, this was the era where you were really starting to notice Robin Williams was picking really good movies. I mean, honestly, you could almost argue before this he did like The World According to Garp, which was a John Irving novel, and I used to really like that one too. This one, and then kind of all the way through to like Good Will Hunting, he was picking a lot of really interesting things, and it was almost like when you heard his name in a movie, you kind of wanted to see it because he was he was pretty smart in how he picked his films. So yeah, he was a kind of a force to be reckoned with back then.
Yeah, I think Good Morning Vietnam was right around this time also, and Awakenings.
The Fisher King. Yeah, he did a whole bunch that were just really good. He was kind of the man back then. He was really good. Number 4 is gonna be a weird one. I think this is one of those where you see it and you kind of either love it or hate it. And I kind of feel like it's probably like 70-30. I think more people hate it than love it, but I kind of gravitated towards it. Vanilla Sky.
Open your eyes.
Most of us live our whole lives without any real adventure to call our own. What is any life if not the pursuit of a dream?
Hey, honey, I'll call you later.
When? Don't say soon. I hate it when you say soon.
Soon!
You slept with Julie Gianni again, didn't you?
Julie's a friend. Sometimes we sleep together.
You can do whatever you want with your life, but one day you'll know what love truly is.
Slow down, Julie.
When you sleep with someone, your body makes a promise whether you do or not.
Do you believe in God?
Ooh, that is a polarizing one. Tell us why.
Yeah, I really liked this film. Well, first off, this is actually a remake, and it's a weird one because it's a remake of a Spanish film. Abre los Ojos was the original, and so this one was a remake of that. But the original was only a couple of years earlier. In fact, Penelope Cruz plays the same part in both. It was almost like Tom Cruise and Cameron, the director, I forgot his name, just decided, I really like that movie, we should just make a version of it. And I kind of, when I watched the two of them side by side, I just say, they really actually did it right. Like, I kind of felt like it was a really respectful retelling of that story. And the story itself, I really just kind of liked it, and I guess not to spoil anything, but I kind of felt that the redemption arc at the end really spoke to me, and I kind of felt like it kind of taught me a pretty valuable lesson in that. And I think other films might have done it, but this is just the one that sort of reached me, I suppose, for some reason. And it really has something to do with being honest with yourself, and I kind of I've sort of learned, and I've sort of told people, I've said this to people, over the years, you can't really change or grow or start to fix any of the things that are not working until you're 100% honest with yourself. You need to have a breakthrough moment and realize the things that again, none of us are perfect. We've got strengths and we've got weaknesses. And until you make peace with those things, you can't move past anything. So I kind of feel like the moment at the end of the film when he really does have this moment of clarity, it just kind of really works. And I feel like the symbolism in the film, the face not being your face, the masks that you wear, that kind of stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like it's all working, and I kind of feel like a lot of people sort of miss it because they're like I feel like people get the movie can be very distracting. It's not exactly spelled out, but I feel like when you find the moment in there, it really kind of works. So yeah, I don't know. It just speaks to me. By the way, and the soundtrack is awesome. So I feel like the film is done pretty well in a lot of respects. So again, I know it's a weird one, but it really spoke to me.
Well, you've sold me on giving this one another try because I didn't get it the first time I saw this movie. And I've only watched it once, and maybe there's more. I mean, I'm sure there is that I just didn't see, and your analysis of it makes me want to give it another try because I think there's something there that I'm missing that maybe I need to rediscover. I don't think it's a bad film, but it just went over my head.
Yeah, this definitely falls under the category of again, the list is sort of compiled of films that I know are great films, and then there's other ones that just kind of got me, on a gut level. And this would be the second category.
Boy, I'd like to hit this guy on a gut level.
It doesn't hit me on a gut level.
I'd like to hit this guy on a gut level.
Stop it, Albie.
I am all kinds of confused right now. Wasn't Vanilla Sky the Tom Cruise, Stanley Kubrick, like weird orgy fuckfest video movie thing?
That's Eyes Wide Shut, which that movie I do understand.
Okay, so did they come out around the same time?
Yeah,
I do remember Tom Cruise wearing the mask, but for some reason I'm thinking that's the same movie.
Different mask,
no,
different reason.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm all screwed up. All right, I'm out of this one. I'm thinking of the wrong movie. Jesus, you guys are getting deep on this.
Eyes
really
Wide Shut,
fucking weird.
Worth watching, also.
All right, number 3 is quite different, also a little weird, and I think you guys will get it, but I think a lot of people might have had mixed feelings about this film when it came out. But I quite frankly think that this is a film that every man should watch at some point. Fight Club.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Why? How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight.
Wait, let me start earlier. Like many of you, I was stuck. You want me to deprioritize my current reports until you advise of a status upgrade?
Make these your primary action items.
I couldn't sleep.
No, you can't die from insomnia.
I'd flip through catalogs and wonder. And this is how I met Tyler Durden.
Come on, hit me before I lose my nerve. Ow! You hit me in the ear!
It was on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Can I be next?
We just gave it a name.
Gentlemen, welcome to Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is... Wow, nice. You do not talk about Fight Club.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. Honestly, again, it's just one of those, I kind of felt like it spoke to me on a lot of levels. It was and I think it's a movie that it is easily misunderstood, by the way. I think a lot of people might hear this and be like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of guys punching each other, of course, whatever, a bunch of guys who are misunderstood. I see why people would say that, but honestly, there really is a lot of thoughtfulness in this film in terms of, and I think it's not even just men per se, although it does speak to men easily, louder and clearer. But it just all the kind of the way we kind of live today. It just, what is it all about? How do you make sense of the world that we live in? We're not hunter gatherers anymore. We're not protecting the family. We're not out bringing home, meat for the winter. We're trying to put together, what makes sense about this life and how we should be living it, etc. And marketing telling us things and all this other stuff. I kind of really, that was the part that really spoke to me. And plus it's just really well done. I think it's a pretty, I went to see, the guy who wrote the original book, Chuck Palahniuk. I saw him at a book signing after this one, and it was mobbed. He was at his peak popularity at this point. So yeah, I just think it's a really interesting, well-made movie that everybody should watch at least once.
Don't we all have that alter ego, that person that we wish we were, who's so much cooler than we are, who gets the girl? And it's funny because there is like a widely circulated theory about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which Ray mentioned earlier, that Ferris is the Tyler Durden in Cameron's head, that he's just kind of like this cool alter ego that he has developed for himself, who has the hot girlfriend and can sweet talk his way into any situation. So we all kind of have that fantasy that we wish we were cooler than we really are.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I feel like this was kind of like the twist of the film was kind of one of those brain twisters that I feel like since then a lot of people take for granted, but at the time it was like nobody really saw that coming.
And it's a movie you have to watch twice. Once before you know what the twist is, and then you need to watch it again like really soon afterwards, because the clues are there. It's kind of like The Sixth Sense. If you watch it,
I was just going to say that.
You watch it a second time, like the clues are all there, and the second time you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, I see it. Fight Club has that feeling.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
It does, and everything in that movie also, there are like legit quotes that are just, pertain to anybody from at least our generations. Like I'm a 30-year-old boy, like I'm a 40-year-old boy, right? Like that's just how I feel. You are not a beautiful and unique snowflake. Where the whole thing where they take the commissioner into the bathroom and drag him in there, we're the people that you rely on us. That whole speech, tie up his balls, man, his balls are cold.
When he says the line about we're a generation of men raised by women, I was like,
yes,
like honest. I remember going like, yeah, it's actually true.
Yeah, shit. My parents were divorced when I was a kid, and my mother raised me until she got remarried. Like, it just touches on so many levels. Excellent choice.
Yeah. All right, so now we're in the top two. I'm just going to say my number two, but so basically we're now kind of getting up into like peak. How do I say this? Like these are the masterpieces in my mind that I really gravitate towards. Two is to me a masterpiece, and I always argue with people that if I always this one is another one that a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. But I always felt like if you do gravitate towards something like Raiders of the Lost Ark, maybe Lawrence of Arabia, this one you should be able to get. The English Patient.
Name, rank, serial number.
Sorry, I can't help you. I think I was a pilot.
Are you German?
No.
How do you know you're not German if you don't remember anything?
They found him near a plane crash in the Sahara.
Why you said to tell him to keep me alive?
Because I'm a nurse.
A man with no name, no country, and no past.
You're in love with him, aren't you?
Ask your saint who he is. Ask him who he's killed.
I have not seen The English Patient. I've seen the episode of Seinfeld many, many times. I know Elaine hates The English Patient.
Quit telling your stupid story about the stupid desert and just die already. Die!
So I'll let you sell it to us.
I'm tapping into my inner John Peterman with this one. Yeah, and I know people will probably hear it and think it's kind of a pretentious pick, but honestly, I say to myself, I don't. When you watch this, I feel it to me. It's like if you blended Casablanca and Raiders of the Lost Ark, you would get something like this.
Both 10 out of 10 movies.
Honest to God, and so it falls right in line in there for me. It is a bit of a love like I would say the love story is probably the thing that people remember it for. It is a pretty powerful love story, and I guess that is kind of the central point of the story, if I had to really put it that way. But honestly, it is against the backdrop of the of World War II, and again the settings. It's got that kind of Raiders setting to me, and there's a lot of really fantastic parts in this. So yeah, I kind of feel like, honestly, it's one of those, I just was blown away by this film. I saw it multiple times in the theater, and yeah, I think once or twice I dragged some friends to go see it, and they were like, "Oh, what did you make us sit through?" I'm like, how are you guys not getting this? This is great, whatever. But so yeah, I would honestly say if you've never watched it, pick a night, get a bottle of wine, and just check this one out. It's I don't want to overhype it, because maybe it might. Some days you're John Peterman, some days you're Elaine. So.
Sex in a bathtub doesn't work. Give me something I can use.
There you go. All right, that's my number 2. Now we're gonna go around and talk about our number 1 picks of all time.
All right, number 1s. So if you think about the greatest films of all time, for me, it has a little bit of everything. You have comedy, you have, a little bit of drama, but you need the perfect cast, the perfect storyline, special effects at the time. As far as they can go at that time period, yeah. So for me, my number 1 pick, Ernest Scared Stupid. It came out in 19... No, I'm kidding. Obviously, it's Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead.
I absolutely adore this film. I think, I was born at the right time, 1984. My favorite character, Ray Stantz. My name is Ray. I actually did a stint just out of high school actually doing ghost hunting, and was on the show Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel. I feel like everything in my life led up to this moment. I'm a firefighter. They worked in a firehouse. I am Ray Stantz reborn. I absolutely adore this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's so funny, and it's one of those movies where the humor never gets stale. Every time you watch it, you're laughing at how quick-witted it is.
Joe, I think you brought this up once. It's very rare that a movie captures lightning in a bottle, and I think this is one of, if not the movie that does that. Because anytime you try to make something after that, it's never going to be as good. You can get close, but it's not going to be what the original was.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And honestly, it's funny how we're all kind of pining back to this period of, I think the 80s was probably one of the most magnificent times in modern cinema that we can remember, at least guys our age, because that's when all of these blockbuster franchises came into existence, and people were just making original films, and if it worked, it worked, and if it didn't, it didn't. But people, now we're just all pining for the things that came out back then and trying to drag them up and make sequels and sort of recreate that, whatever. Ghostbusters was one of those ones where it's just a magnificent script. The direction is phenomenal. Everything about it just works, and it really does. And when you, which I'm sure you have, right, and probably all of us, when you hear stories about like the making of the film and how it started off like this and it kind of went like this, and it really makes you just kind of marvel at the brilliant writers that they had back then, because to be able to sort of mold that clay and still have it come out to be this incredible thing that it is. I mean, it really is just a magnificent piece of work, honestly. I mean, this is another one they should be teaching in film school. This is how you write a good story.
Yep, it's a perfect script.
I was going to say it's very like commando filmmaking too. Like when you get to that point where your budget's running low, or something's not working and you just work with what you have. Like it's one of those movies where they were forced to do that, especially with the rights to the movie or the name. Ghostbusters was already taken by like a really weird animated series involving a gorilla and stuff, so they had to fight with the studios, and it just was this whole long process. And there's multiple takes that you can find on even YouTube, and a couple documentaries where they go through all the different variations of Ghostbusters. It wasn't Ghostbusters, it was Ghost Blasters or whatever, like there's all these different takes where they did that commercial scene until they finally got it and it worked. And I mean, the original story wasn't even a modern thing. It was a sci-fi where they were in space, and they had these little suits and laser instead of the proton packs and instead of the proton packs, they had like little laser wands that they were like zapping these future ghosts in the future. It wasn't until they dialed it back and they were like, no, we can make this like a modern script, and that's what made it work. If they would have stuck to the original, it would never have been as popular as it was. And I'm kind of one of those first of all, 2016 never happened. The first movie was great. The second movie was okay, but I actually really enjoy the way that they're bringing the series back. Normally when they try to reboot these things for reboot these movies for like a modern audience and try to draw that nostalgia back and feed it to a younger audience, I don't think it works. I think they did right with their last two movies. I think that we can reboot the series and keep it going for a new generation. But I am biased, so.
Well, they've kept the reboot movies true to the original source material. Like the heart is there, the attitude is there. It's the same feeling you get when you watch it. It's not trying to recreate the original film beat for beat, but it's playing in that world with those rules.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
No, I think they're bringing it back in the best way they can. Again, they're not trying to redo it again. It's a different kind of feel, and there's sort of it's almost I noticed that the new ones feel like it's a totally different world, and they're reaching out to Ghostbusters and pulling it in, and it's clever, and it kind of works in a very interesting way. And I do like the fact that, like, for example, they brought I forget the kid's name, Wolfhard or something or other, who was in
from Stranger Things.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And I thought that was really smart, because again, I thought Stranger Things is a wonderful tribute to films like this from the 80s. I loved how that, especially the very first season of that one, I just loved it. So yeah, I really think that it's a pretty good move.
And as often as I kid around and say, like, 2016 didn't happen, that movie did have its merits. I hated the fact that 90 some odd % of the movie was just ad-libbed. I don't think there was really a script for it. They were just like, here's the scene and go. The Leslie Jones, I think, was the funniest part of the 2016 movie. I don't like that they just feminized the whole thing and made like that's what the whole movie was. It was like one big joke against dudes, like empower women. Women can be Ghostbusters too. Nobody said they couldn't.
Correct.
And that's what I loved about Afterlife is that they did that, but with in canon, with
You don't have to tear down what has come before in order to make it grow. You can build on it, and you can build up, and you can build out, and that's what Afterlife did. 2016 tried to knock it down and start from scratch, and that's why it didn't work. Also, it just wasn't funny. That's why it didn't
exactly
work.
what I was just going to say. I was going to say, honestly,
it just wasn't funny.
If they want to feminize it, I wouldn't even mind it if it was just funny.
Right.
It just was not funny in the least. And it's such a like that movie was just so bad because it was so. I kind of felt like it was a middle finger to just everybody watching this because you felt like every single scene was ad-libbed, and it's like I don't want to sit there and watch you guys try to make a movie on the fly. I'd like to see something that you put some effort into and a script that you actually wrote and maybe take a little pride in. Those scenes were not funny at all.
It was just like Bridesmaids where like, oh, you said the bit, like they did that bit like all the time. Like, oh, you said I was going to back and forth. Like, no, it doesn't work. Just like there's no
Bridesmaids
script.
was funny. That's the that's the big difference between that
Because it came
and this.
first.
Right. It was original, and it was they had a script.
The bit where they had what's his face doing the logos, and it was like just all kinds of stupid stuff, and they're like, that's the logo for such and such, duh. I mean, that base, that's like when you see an Adam Sandler movie and they just dress a guy up that looks like Colonel Sanders so that somebody in the scene can go, okay, whatever, Uncle Sanders, Colonel Sanders. And it's like guys, this is so stupid. This is not funny. That to me was like a bad SNL skit. And even good SNL skits are not funny either, but
But that's what I loved about the two sequels that we've had since then, Afterlife and Frozen Empire. It's a new dynamic. Like the original cast is kind of an afterthought. They're there in the plot and in the story and all, but they're not concentrating on them. This is about the new family, Phoebe and her whole family and the whole story arc with Gruberson, the teacher that becomes like the stepfather. I enjoyed both movies. And I know that some people are like, it's a little, I don't care that the original cast isn't in it. This is a passing of the torch. That's what it's meant to be. It's the Egon's family taking over. And now we have a new cast and we have a new generation. We're continuing the cool stories. And I love the fact that they're taking Egon's family and giving them the opportunity to take over. So you have a new generation. As much as I love the original cast, and I always will, like I like this direction. They're opening it up especially with Frozen Empire, where it's more like the real Ghostbusters animated series, and you can do those not ridiculous, but less serious storylines and bring those in there. The whole thing with the Fire Master and all that, I thought that was hysterical, and it worked. And it brought in so much more of it opens up the range for the film so that you don't have to be just tied down to, okay, we're, these four guys in New York. Now we can open it up to, these broader villains and storylines and all that by going into mythology and things like that. You still had some mythology. I'm going to dive way deep into this, and I've had a couple of beers, so somebody else take over because I can go on for a while with it.
Gozer the Gozerian?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Now we're going into Indian mythology with the Fire Master and all that. This can go on, and that's a great thing. We can keep the series going on with a new generation of Ghostbusters. And it still has ties to the original cast. Let's face it, the only one, Ernie Hudson, Black Don't Crack. But the other dudes, I mean, we're getting up there in age. Like,
Yeah, this is true. And every culture, every society on the planet has some sort of mythology about the afterlife. So there's a lot of material that they can mine here for future Ghostbusters installments and make them fresh and original. As long as they're still funny.
Kyle, I think you're up.
My number one favorite movie of all time, and this was the easiest one for me to write down. It's just my go-to answer when somebody asks me what my favorite movie is. It's just my movie. It's The Hunt for Red October.
The most brilliant commander in the Soviet Navy.
Ramey has trained most of their officer corps. He's nearly a legend in the submarine community.
The most deadly submarine ever built.
This thing could park a couple of 100 warheads off Washington. Nobody'd know a thing about it until it was all over.
And once more, we play our dangerous game with our old adversaries, the American Navy.
I can pop this movie on when I'm in a good mood, and I can watch it in celebration. I can pop this movie in when I'm in a really bad mood, and I need a pick-me-up because it's like putting like your favorite warm blanket on. I love it. It's such a tense, well-paced, well-plotted thriller, edge of your seat for the entire film. And even though I know what's going to happen every single time, I am just gripped by this film. It's another one that's edited perfectly. There's not an ounce of fat on this movie. Every single setup has payoff. The screenplay is masterfully crafted. Every character is there to serve a purpose. All of the actors get their time to shine. I adore this movie. I mean, I can't say enough positive things about this film.
I honestly, I have nothing to say to that. I totally agree. It's a great movie, and honestly, as many times as I've seen it, you're making me want to watch it again. And
yeah, it's that kind of movie where you could pop it in anytime. You're always in the mood for a movie like this, just because it's that compelling, it's that gripping. There's nothing in it that's offensive or controversial or oh, I'm not in the mood for that type of thing right now. It's not too esoteric. It's just a great flick.
I tell you, it's kind of I don't know how to say this, but honestly, I remember thinking that I'm not a huge fan of Alec Baldwin by any stretch, but I thought back then he really had some incredible potential, and I thought he was very good in this role. He reminded me a little bit of Kevin Costner. Yeah, I always used to say back then that Kevin Costner's a great actor, but he has to be really careful in what he picks because he can't do, for example, Robin Hood. But he does the everyman very well. Like, he's fantastic in Untouchables.
Yep.
He's wonderful in what's the other thing I was thinking of?
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. There was another one too. He was Dances with Wolves.
Oh yeah, I love that.
He kind of just sort of thrust into this situation. I mean, he really played that great. I kind of felt like Alec Baldwin had a similar quality, but maybe even with a little more panache, you know. And I thought he was fantastic in this film. And I think if he was a little wiser, he should have done some more. But I think there was a reason why they didn't bring him back. But that's a whole other story.
I'm not sure if he wasn't asked back or if he walked away from it. And I like the Jack Ryan films with Harrison Ford also, and I wouldn't want to not have them, but I would like to see Alec Baldwin in this part 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you.
Easily could have at the time, yeah. Sure. But Sean Connery was
Captain
awesome.
Marco Ramius.
Yes.
Yeah. Once more, we play our dangerous game. A game of chess against our old adversary, the United States Navy.
It's amazing how he really did have like a second peak around this time. He was just incredible.
Yeah, he is number one on the call sheet in this movie. I mean, every scene that he's in, he just owns that scene. He has so much presence.
Look at the posters. I mean, the posters just his face, you know.
Yes.
With a red background, and you can kind of make out a submarine somewhere, but yeah, it's
right. Yeah, but you're selling this movie because it's got Sean Connery in it.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. the boardroom. That's not a boardroom, but there's the big the meeting where he says something about, I know Ramius. I studied Ramius.
Yes.
I met Ramius one time. What a great scene that is. I love that.
Because it's tense. I mean, every single moment of this movie, the stakes are so high, and it never lets up. There is not any downtime in this film. There is just more tension and more tension and more tension until finally it literally explodes.
Yes, and it's a tribute to the smart writing. The smart writing, the mature writing in this. That a scene like that can kind of keep you on the edge of your seat like that.
Two of my movies, and both of them were in my top 5, were directed by John McTiernan.
That's
just throwing that out there.
Yep.
And I kind of feel like Red October kind of like set the stage for like the analyst or the CIA analyst genre, where they kind of like are the lead, like
where like the desk jockey gets pulled into the adventure.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. What did they do that with? What was the Bin Laden movie?
Zero Dark 30.
Yes, Zero Dark 30.
Yeah,
it was kind of that kind of vibe. But like A Hunt for Red October like totally started that. But on top of that, I mean, that was like one of the first Jack Ryan movies too.
It was the first. It was the very first Jack Ryan movie, and I mean that's kind of like James Bond at this point has been interpreted by so many different actors, so many different ways, but you can't beat the original. And like I said, I like the Harrison Ford take on Jack Ryan just as much as I like Alec Baldwin's, but Alec Baldwin was the OG Jack Ryan. I don't think you can ever beat the first.
Well, I mean, honestly, it really did kick off like a whole genre, all those Tom Clancy novels. I mean, you're even doing the Tom Clancy's on Amazon, is it now? With what's right, the whole series on that. I mean, I think people were kind of really ready for like a little smarter, more thought-provoking kind of espionage films.
Not to say that it's devoid of action. There is some action in this movie. It's not over the top. I mean, there isn't a lot of like, there's no like running and gunning machine gun battles or anything like that. But there's some action in this flick too.
Yeah, and it's always action that goes with the narrative. It's not. It's not action just for the sake of action. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and when you add the suspense with the action, that's like a whole other level too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like you can rather watch. You don't need the run and gun with that tense moment with the chef or the cook.
He's a cook.
Man, like,
it's great.
You can pull that off with instead of just running gun and dodging bullets with that suspenseful moment like that.
Because the stakes are so high, and
exactly.
and the viewer feels that. I mean, when you're watching this movie, you feel like you're a part of it. You're along for the ride with Jack Ryan, because why can't these stuffed shirts just figure it out? He's trying to defect. Why won't they listen to me? You're feeling that throughout the whole movie.
And I love the ending too, when all the Russians are up there, just as it's sinking, like, oh.
Yep. Yeah. Even they get a moment of like emotional payoff, because they think that their captain has sacrificed himself for a patriotic cause. I mean, everybody in this film gets a time in the spotlight.
Totally. Well done. Nice pick, dude.
Yeah. It's my favorite movie. It's been for many, many years.
Nice. All right. So my number one favorite movie of all time.
Debbie Does Dallas.
Brazilian fart fetish porn. So I picked this one. I didn't pick it for a specific reason. I mean, I just really, really have always gravitated towards this movie. Kind of gets you on the gut level when you see it. But one of the reasons why I feel that it's such a sort of a perfect movie to put on the top of your list is because this is a movie that itself is kind of a tribute to cinema. What is it?
Oh,
you want to take a guess?
I know what it is, but I'm gonna let you have your moment.
Okay. Cinema Paradiso.
Alfredo! Sì, puoi partire.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
So Cinema Paradiso is an Italian movie. Came out in the 80s, I believe, late 80s, I think. And I almost don't even want to say much about it because I think, Ray, even you would like this, even if you're not really into foreign movies. You should give this a watch. Basically, it's about there's a young boy who lives in a very small village in Italy. Not much to do. You go to church, you go home, you do whatever, you go to school. This kid would run off to the local movie theater, and he was you couldn't get him out of there. He just loved going to the movies, trying to find ways to get money to go see the movies, and he was always trying to sneak into the projection booth and see how it's all done. And it's basically just him sort of growing up that way. And like I said, you kind of just sort of have to just watch it to sort of get it. But it really is just again, the beauty of it is that the movie itself is a tribute to movies. It's why do we love movies? Because it takes you to a place, lifts you out of the world you're living in, and you can live in this other world for a little while. And somehow along the way, it also becomes part of you, where it lifts your life and you start to aspire to great things because you sort of had this wonderful inspiration your whole life. It's a really brilliant, well done film. And just as sort of a side note, a lot of years ago now, but about 10 years or so after the film had been out, they had put out a director's cut of this film. And it went from like roughly a 2-hour film to I think a good 2.5 hours, possibly. And the things they put in, it was a lot of fun because I would always say, definitely see the original cut first. And if you like it, give it a little time, then go back and watch this other cut because it almost feels like a complete sequel. The way it's done. There's so much extra stuff. It builds on different parts of the story that it makes you feel like this is sort of like a sequel to the original, and it works. It fits. So it's a nice experience watching that. You almost feel like you're getting to watch it again for the first time. So that's it. That's my number one.
It's a heartwarming movie, and it's the movie that they kind of show in film class to students to introduce them to foreign films. Like, you don't think you like foreign films because you have to read subtitles, but we're going to make you watch this. And you come away with an appreciation for oh yeah, not every movie has to be in English in order to be great. This movie is absolutely outstanding. It really will move anyone who watches it.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, by the time you get to the end, I mean, again, if that doesn't move you, nothing will. And honestly, it's interesting because, again, it's an Italian movie. Everyone is so expressive in this film. If you had to watch this without the subtitles, I almost feel that you would get it.
Probably.
You would basically get what they're kind of conveying back and forth. It's pretty. The acting is great. It's so
like watching opera. I mean, if you watch opera sometimes without the subtitles, you can still kind of follow the story. This film is kind of like that. And it's also because the plot is not especially complicated. It's just a coming of age tale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Check it out, Ray. It's a good movie.
Seriously,
I have to.
I wouldn't try to sell you on a lot of things that I don't know, but this one, yeah, I would give this a shot. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if you came back and said you didn't like it.
I think we've all written down movies from one another's lists that we have to go back and watch now, which is good. I mean, that's part of the fun of having these conversations. What else should I watch?
Exactly. Big time. Gents, I think that is our top 10. And I have a hunch that this is our 200th episode and our 201st episode.
Again, just like South Park.
You just had to push it, didn't you, Stan? You just had to make fun of Tom Cruise again.
Let's just hope there are no death threats.
Seriously, guys, this was really well done. Great effort. I loved all of it. You did give me things that I need to watch again, and hopefully people listening will also feel the same way, that have a couple things they're going to check out now too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because I respect both of your opinions on movies very much. So I've written down some things that I'm going to have to check out.
And I definitely think we got to go back, by the way, and seriously, I think every so often we should decide we're going to do our top 10 X. We're going to do our top 10 horror, our top 10 sci-fi, our top 10 comedies, whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm up for it.
100%.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, and I will see you next week.
So long, guys.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe, Kyle, and Ray. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. You can also find our episodes on our YouTube channel. Check the link in the description. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and are considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
Welcome, everyone, to the screening of The Last Airbender.
Here I am, Roger Ebert, about to review yet another movie based on a cartoon.
And 4 nations once lived in harmony when the elements of earth, fire, water, and air were mastered by those who...
And it already sucks. Maybe I could fall asleep with my eyes open. Worth a try.
Man, Ebert loves this movie!
This 3D looks like 2D, even in 3D.
Who are you, stranger?
I'm Roger Ebert. I'm dreaming I'm in this terrible movie.
You should not be here if you have no power.
Power? I won a Pulitzer Prize for criticism. That's the ultimate power.
Are we fighting or just jerking off? And I'm fine with either one, but let's just decide.
If we are to defeat Fire Lord Ozai, you must use this criticism power.
Oh, that will not be a problem. Your acting is so wooden, the Blue Fairy turned you into a real boy. These special effects are neither special nor effective. This dialogue's duller than a mayonnaise sandwich. Thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs way down.
Oh, stranger, you did it!
This movie was the worst experience of my life, and I live in Chicago. I give it half a star.
Half a star? It cost $150 million.
Well, in that case, thumbs down!